Beatles.
But film director Ron Howard wants to reveal a new side to the Fab Four.
This is the greatest phenomenon of the century thus far.
Everybody, can you hear me? Ladies and gentlemen, here are the Beatles.
We captured Liverpool and London, and we were out to capture the world.
The movie, The Beatles, 8 days a week, premieres this weekend. So we're joined now by Beatles historian Matt Hurwitz. Matt, thank you so much for coming in. This is actually really exciting, this documentary.
Thanks for being here.
There are a lot of incredible things that Ron Howard has done with this movie, but mostly what it does, it puts the four guys into this bubble. We see them on tour, we see them as a rocket to fame, and it's sort of almost kind of scary watching what they go through.
Yeah, it is scary, and it really, the amazing thing about this film, it takes you along with them through the hurricane. I think that's the difference between this and so many other. I've seen a lot of Beatles films, and most of them tell you the story, and this one you go through it with them, and you see how this hurricane of touring changed them. And thrust them into even greater creativity.
But you also see the chemistry between them and the charm that they had and how they just worked as a unit.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things Ron Howard told me was appealed to him. It's the camaraderie, and it's he likened it to his telling the story of Apollo 13, of a group of people going through a difficult situation and growing through it.
The technical side of this movie is also something which is incredible as well. They've managed to remix concerts from 40 years ago. They've taken all the screaming out, and so you actually get to hear the Beatles. Like, people at that concert would have never heard the Beatles. So how do they do this?
That's right. Well, there's an engineering team it's headed by producer Giles Martin, who is the original producer George Martin's son, and very skilled engineers that work with him, Sam O'Kell, and a programmer named James Clark, who developed this system to remove the screams from the recording, from the Hollywood Bowl recordings, which are recorded on a 3-track tape back then, and it enabled them to then have the music free to work with, and then add the crowd back in.
Yeah. How good were they as a live band?
That's what you'll see in this film, and also with the Beatles at Shea Stadium, which, if you see this film in the theater, it premieres on Hulu a couple days later, but if you see it in the theater, you'll get to watch a whole concert, essentially. And you'll see that they are a great performing band, and on the Beatles Live at the Hollywood Bowl CD, you get to hear them really for the first time. I bought that album when it came out in 1977, and it's still mint in a plastic sleeve. And I compared the two, and it's night and day. And you really hear the punch and the drive and how much fun they had. And I think that's something the filmmakers really saw.
There's a couple of... We all thought we knew everything about the Beatles, but this documentary manages to take us, to a few new places. One, Ringo Starr couldn't keep beat with everybody because he couldn't see them, so he followed their behinds. Basically, he followed their behinds.
Yeah.
The rhythm by looking at their behinds.
This is before the day we're used to seeing, musicians with the earbuds in or monitors on the front of the stage facing. That technology didn't exist then, so they could barely hear themselves play at all, and they managed, and they had a blast. You can see it.
And the other thing that this film captures, really the creative leaps they made.
That's exactly
in this time frame.
Yeah, it was very restrictive. This is something I think the producer Nigel Sinclair explained to me, that it was a very restrictive world, the touring. They had to play, the same batch of hits that they would play, and then they'd get into Abbey Road and just have these bursts of creativity. There's terrific scenes that they've put together. The editor, Paul Krather, has assembled, showing them at work in the studio, and you hear and see them building things like they're not like this on the road.
Yeah.
Very quickly, the movie also reveals that they would not play before a segregated audience in the American South.
That's right.
So all the details there with that.
Yeah, the thing Ron says about they were thrust into the position of having to deal with these things. It wasn't in their world elsewhere, and they just said this isn't cool. No, and it's in their contract writer. They show it in the movie. You can see the Beatles will not play to segregated audiences.
Brilliant. Yeah. I think they said, no, this is stupid.
Yeah. I think that's the part.
Never a truer word was said.
Yeah, indeed.
Matt, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.